Conservatives have been critical of the federal government's carbon tax, and Andrew Scheer says that if elected Prime Minister, he would unveil a new plan, and yet under pressure to talk about what his plan would be. John, what might his plan be, and when are we going to hear from it?
Well, as I said, I think the Conservatives are going to offer some kind of regulatory regime. The best and most thoughtful voice on the right on this is Jason Kenney, the opposition leader in Alberta. And he talks about regulating heavy emitters. He talks about a sort of cap and trade regime within individual industries rather than across society generally. There is a way to bend the curve that only uses regulation, that does not use general carbon taxes, although economists don't like it. The irony of this is, John, that if you're a conservative, small c, then you actually like carbon taxes. They're market-based, they're efficient. Individual choices determine how carbon emissions are reduced. If you are actually a big statist, government knows best kind of person, then you believe in government regulations in which you order the auto industry to stop making SUVs and things like that. In that sense, the politics right now is completely flipped between left and right.
And can I also add that if you're a conservative, normally you don't like incentives because it's government meddling and trying to influence behavior. Yep. In fact, Doug Ford doesn't like them so much that he got rid of the incentive for people to buy electric vehicles. And now Scheer is talking about incentives as part of his way forward. I think it's utter incoherence, and it sounds to me from the hints that we've had that they're going down paths that have already been gone down and that haven't proven very effective. You know, tackling heavy emitters requires you to put a ceiling on how much they can emit, and often conservatives hate targets too. So we'll see.
So there's the issue, isn't it, Vicky? How does the Conservative Party come out with a policy having said no to so much?
I mean, I think that's the real struggle for Andrew Scheer and why we didn't see an immediate response, which is that he's trying to parse many provinces and many different sections of his party's issues with a carbon tax. There are those who don't want something that's federally imposed and want to be able to regulate the environment provincially, but then there are those who want a much more regulatory approach rather than one that's tax-based, and then there are those who say that education and maybe incentives are the best way to go. And so these are all the pieces he's trying to parse and pull together, and that's why we haven't yet seen a plan. What that plan will look like was going to be much more of a political document than an actual policy document. I expect it's one they're going to campaign on, not one they plan to truly and ardently put into effect should they actually govern, because I don't know that conservative voters are necessarily looking to them for an environmental plan, but rather the idea of one.
And yet, in March of 2017, Preston Manning implored Conservatives not to oppose carbon pricing. In an email obtained by iPolitics, Manning points to a Fraser Institute report, of all people, that favors carbon pricing as long as it checks the following boxes: genuine revenue neutrality, a significant reduction in environmental regulations, and a no-subsidy policy with respect to alternative energy sources. In the email, Manning says he's making the suggestion to help avoid, quote, putting Conservatives in the contradictory position of appearing to favor regulation over market mechanisms for dealing with environmental challenges. Now, it won't be the first time that the Conservatives have ignored Preston Manning's wise counsel, but in the minute or so we have left, how difficult will it be for the Conservatives to run or not run on this?
I don't know yet. I don't think so. For example, the Business Council on National Issues, the main sort of lobby for chief executive officers in the country, has come out also in favor of a carbon tax this week. And one of the most amusing side spectacles of this whole thing was Pierre Poilievre, a very kind of rabid conservative front bencher, railing against the Liberals this week for giving a break to heavy emitters, cement factories, fertilizer manufacturers, and others. And they are getting something of a break on carbon taxation because the Liberals say if we don't cut them some slack, they'll simply move their operations abroad, they'll move jobs abroad, and that's why we're cutting them some slack. And that's I can guarantee the Conservatives, if they were in power, would be echoing exactly that argument.